On this video, I'm going to show you how to reverse like a pro. Let's go. Getting into gear in the first place is not as straightforward as it seems. So in this car, what a lot of people do is they'll go up first and then they try to go down into reverse. It's not going to work. To go into reverse properly, just have your hand like this. So clutch all the way down, push towards the right and then down. Don't do this one where people go a bit up towards gear 5 and then they try to go into reverse. It's not going to work. It locks it out. So to do it properly, make sure you put your clutch all the way down, push to the right, and then pull down to the bottom. That way it's in reverse. If you're not sure whether you're in reverse or not, the best thing you can do is just bring the clutch up a little bit, and then you feel the car firing up, and also you can see the back raising, because I've got my handbrake on right now, and the back is raising up. That's how I know I'm in reverse properly. If I was in fourth by mistake or second by mistake, and I tried to bring the clutch up, so it doesn't do the same. The car dips down, the back dips down, and it's trying to go forward. That's how I know I'm not in the correct gear. But now, in reverse, and I bring my clutch up, I'm in reverse. And another mistake people make is they don't put the clutch all the way down when they're trying to change the gear. So if I put my clutch halfway in, it's going to be really difficult. Don't then use your lots of force, try and force it into gear. The gear stick should be able to move without that much force. I can do it with my finger. Yeah, I can go from neutral to reverse with one finger if I want to. I'm not going to do that obviously when I'm driving around, but I'm just doing that to show you how much force or how little force is required. So if you're finding yourself struggling, make sure that your clutch is all the way down and then do it that way. To reverse properly and safely, you want to keep your speed down. It should be minimal speed. It shouldn't even register on the speedo. That's how slow you want to go. If you're going to reverse, I'm going to show you quickly. Make sure it's safe. And you're hearing this noise here. That noise, it means you're going too fast. You shouldn't hear that noise. If you hear that noise, you should straight away put your clutch down and start braking because you're already going too fast. I'm going to show you how to avoid going too fast. So when you're moving off normally traffic lights, or when you start driving, when you start learning to drive, you get taught to get the clutch up and then bring it higher and higher and higher to go faster. That's okay for when you're driving forward and the traffic is clear. But if you're trying to reverse back slowly or parking, you don't want to bring the clutch too high up. So I'll show you what I mean. So if I bring it up, let's say I bring it up like normal, like there, and then I keep going higher and higher and higher, the car's going to go too fast. We don't want that. So to control that, what we do is we bring it to the biting point, just like there, and then once it starts moving, bring it down a little bit, and then up again. So we're not going above the biting point, we're just playing around the biting point. Yeah, you can hear it revving a bit, and then down a bit, up a bit, and then down a little bit, up a little bit, and then down a little bit. Yeah, so notice the whole time I'm looking around as well, and because I'm going slowly, it's giving me time to do things properly and look around. Yeah, let's say you go into reverse and then you find that your car's not moving even though you're trying to bring the clutch up. It means it's not up high enough. So bring it a bit higher, and then it's gonna start going backwards. Yeah, a bit higher, then it's gonna start going backwards, but not too high. And you notice as well, I'm keeping my foot up. I'm moving my foot the whole time. If I keep it still in one spot, yeah, it starts going too quickly. So what I'm doing is I'm giving it a bit of power and then cutting it off. Giving it a bit of power and then cutting it off. That way I don't go too fast. One main reason for doing it like this is, let's say I'm going towards the curb and I'm parking. If I do it too fast and I do it wrong, watch what will happen. So let's say I'm going into reverse and I'm parking and I go towards the curb. Before I know it, I'm going to be way over the curb, and if there's a tree there or a lamppost there, I could end up smacking into it. Not ideal, and if you go too far if you go like this on your test, there's a strong chance that you're going to fail. So what I can do instead is just bring the clutch just to the biting point and then down a little bit. Bring the clutch to the biting point and then down. So this way, let's say I'm parking and then I happen to misjudge the way the curb is, but because I'm going slowly, I'll feel the curb before I go further. So like now, oh, what's that? Something's happening. Now I know I've hit the curb. I can correct it now. I'll look around, go into first gear, use the same technique, yeah, up and down a little bit. Create some space between me and the curb. And then go back into reverse. And that way, I'm not gonna hit the curb, and I can easily avoid going onto the curb, and I've also avoid failing the test. Because if you touch the curb a bit and then correct it, you're not going to fail the test for that. I get people asking me this all the time. If you touch the curb a bit, you're not going to fail. What you will fail for is if you mount the curb, or if you go too fast towards the curb to an extent that's going to cause damage, or the examiner has to take action. That's when it's going to be a problem. But just a little nudge, it's not going to be an issue. Another mistake I see a lot of learners do is using the brake and the clutch too much together. So I'll show you what I mean. So right now, if I go into reverse and I want to control my speed, the way I was doing it before was the correct way, which is bringing the clutch up a bit and then down a bit. But what you see a lot of learners do is they'll bring the clutch to the biting point and then just use the brake to control their speed. This is, I don't know if you can hear it in the video or not, but this is putting a lot of strain on the clutch and the brakes as well. So you're basically telling the car to move and you're telling it don't move. Yeah. So it's rumbling, it's making quite a lot of noise. This is too much pressure for the clutch and for the brake. So don't do it that way, because it's not going to be good for control. It's not good for your car. The best way to do it is to ease off the brake and then use your clutch. And then once you're stopping, then clutch down all the way and come to a stop. If you're trying to stop when you're reversing like this, don't stop with your clutch up like this, unless you're on a hill, which I'll show you in a second. It's a bit different if you're on a hill or if you're going uphill. But if you're on a flat road like this, there's no need for you to brake while your car's moving and then put your clutch down. You can just put your clutch down first and then brake. That way it's a lot smoother. This section is a bit downhill, and you can tell because if I don't press anything, my handbrake's down, the car is going to start rolling forward. So this is going to be a bit harder to reverse, and it gets even harder. The more hilly it is, the harder it is going to be to control the car in reverse. So, but it's going to be the same technique. The only thing that's going to be different really is making sure that you have your biting point first before you release the brake or before you release the handbrake, and also making sure you press the brake before you put your clutch down when you're stopping. And I'll show you what I mean. So now if I do it like this, if I just come off the brake and then start moving, you see it rolled forward a bit. If it was a steep hill, it would have rolled forward a lot more. But because it's not that steep here, it's not a big deal, but still you want to control it. So to avoid that roll forward in the first place, I'm going to keep my foot on the brake, get the biting point, and I know I've got the biting point because I can hear the car firing up. I can see the revs going a bit higher there to like just above 1. That way I know the car's at the biting point, and then I can make sure it's safe. Then I can come off the brake, and it's not moving right now. That's because the clutch is just at the point where it's holding it from going back, and it's also holding it from going forward. But if I bring it up a tiny bit, then it starts moving. Yeah, again, I don't want to bring it up too high, just up a tiny bit. And my foot is actually not on the ground. So a lot of people ask me, is my foot, do you have your foot on the mat, or do you have your foot floating in the air? I find it a lot easier to have my foot floating in the air for these kind of delicate moves. Some people find it more comfortable to have their foot down, and some people have really small feet, so it's hard for them to have their foot down. But you can have it just hovering like that, and that way I can control it nicely. Now when it comes to stopping, like I said earlier, if I was to put my clutch down first and then brake, you see the car rolls forward a bit first. If I want to stop it exactly where it was, instead of putting the clutch down first and then braking, what I'll do is, while it's at the biting point like there, I can brake and then clutch down. That way it holds it exactly where I want it to stop without it rolling forward first.